We've got Tim Pool, who is crashing out over Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is a evil scumbag. She is a degenerate.
Oh my!
It's not very often that a conservative influencer gets called twice in the space of like a month. But
I feel like Crowder started a trend.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of cultural appropriation a little bit, because this is an Australian term. Australians, we took this term and we made it our own, and now you guys are appropriating the term, and you're trying to act like it's yours and trying to sort of wear it as some sort of a veil. I don't like that.
Americans were saying 100 years before Australia even existed, and it still doesn't even really exist technically. Let's be real.
Yeah, but we reclaimed the word and we made it our own, and then now it's sort of used as a pejorative and a derogatory term, and we want to reclaim the word.
Andrew, challenge him to a fight.
Well, but
for ownership of the word.
wait a second. I'm all out of ammo from hunting too many emus. But anyway, back to this. Back to this.
She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else.
So can you give the backstory for the build up to this go off here?
Yeah. So, I mean,
I got to shut this door. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that what he's talking about here is that she is saying that he's saying that Candace Owens doesn't really have that much security, and Tim Pool's house was sort of shot at recently, and it's something regarding that, and also that Candace Owens is basically just blowing everything up and has no regard for any of the truths or facts and is destroying Charlie Kirk's legacy and these sorts of things.
Well, I believe the buildup here was based around she put Tim Pool in a thumbnail. And the thumbnail on her show, which I went and looked up this morning to see if it was the case, was who benefits from Charlie Kirk's, and it has a picture of Tim Pool there. So he seems to think that what she's trying to do is she's trying to group him in with potential beneficiaries who would have benefited from Charlie getting murdered by this leftist, and is lumping him in with that crowd. And so the reason that he's extremely upset is because he thinks that she's basically playing a diabolical clout game based around the fact that she had some interpersonal contact with Kirk and is milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I actually didn't even notice this, but yeah, I mean, who stood to benefit from Charlie Kirk's assassination? She's got Kash Patel there. I think that you can read it into that, but it says the $1 billion question, then it has Kash Patel, Tim, and somebody else. Now, the part where she's talking about Kash Patel in that episode is a different segment, I believe. I think it's a different segment. They talk about it towards the beginning of the show from what I'm seeing here. But is she saying that Kash Patel stood to benefit from Charlie Kirk's death as well? I mean, you can certainly read into it that way. I watched
some of the episode this morning, but I fast-forwarded it to where she's talking about Tim Pool specifically. And I think that would be fine to get into after this clip, what her kind of response there is, if you guys want to.
Okay, yeah, let's continue this then.
Suffer, and all of these conservatives out there that send me these messages have no balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't DM me like I did something for you as you cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which she's doing to me right now.
Yeah, that was the...
I'm done with these people.
She has security.
All right, so pause it there. So, yeah, this is what he's actually upset about. He thinks that by doing this, right, she's painting a target on his back. So from Tim's view, Candace has lunatics who listen to her, literally mentally ill, deranged psychopaths. Now, I don't think that Candace has a massive audience, and I think people tune in for a variety of reasons. Do I think that I'm sure that there are some mentally ill lunatics in that audience? Yes. And the kind of the word around the campfire is that if it's the case that you start talking about Candace Owens, the threats start to come in.
Right.
And the he's linking this with his security. So he thinks that by putting that imagery out there and discussing that, well, Tim may have had something to do with this nefarious plot to kill Charlie Kirk, that it paints a target on his back, man who has recently had assassination attempts against him and has for years had assassination attempts against him. So that's what he's upset about, which seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that regard, and then you look at the thumbnail and everything. If the title of my video was, who is the biggest on the internet, and then I had a big photo of Andrew Wilson on the, which would be like a reasonable thing to do. But if I had that, then you would assume that I meant that you're the biggest on the internet, right?
Right.
Exactly. So.
Right. So the thing is that I think his anger is somewhat justified. Because what Candace has been doing since Kirk's death is trying to tie together a string of events which are mostly unrelated, but tie them into a conspiracy thread as though all of them are related. And she consistently adds to this diabolical plot to assassinate Kirk, everything from TPUSA to the implication that Erica Kirk somehow is involved. Now, of course, adding streamers who criticize her as being potentially involved in this web of plotting, and that is what he's alluding to. Now, I did watch it, and she didn't exactly say that, right? She didn't really say that, but he's upset by the inference.
Okay.
Level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors shouldn't give two shits. No one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one guy, and she doesn't give a shit about her security. Meanwhile, I get bullets fired at my property and I have to go live in the middle of nowhere. And I got strangers coming up to my house in Maryland, breaking in. I got people showing up and beating up the residents who try to live there. How the fuck am I even supposed to sell this property? And it's all lies.
So Tim saying, hey, he has been targeted many times, and this is enhancing the targeting.
Yep.
And he's saying, and it's coming from the right. In this case, it's coming from Candace Owens, which I would dispute that she's much of a right winger at all. Honestly, I don't really think so. I think that she's a very classic femcon, and I think that many in the TPUSA camp were classic femcons. It was one of my number one criticisms of them. So we could see like the reaction she had with Crowder when the video went out with him and Hillary, how she reacted to that, which was very, very much in line with the femcons at the time and the detractors of Crowder, piling on to the multitudes of conspiracy theories there about him, that he was beating her and all sorts of different crazy shit. She was enhancing that message. So,
and it was very much in an underhanded way as well. I remember saying, well, I've seen things and we've seen things and I can't say everything, but it'll come out, and all of these sort of like gesturing at something as if the evidence is there, but you just can't see it. And I remember that exact line that she was doing at that time.
Well, this is why the what's going on here now is there's basically two camps, right, who are in the conspiracy thread, if that's what you want to call it. The ones who think that Kirk's assassination was a conspiracy which involved foreign nations, the federal government, or just federal government involvement, perhaps, or things like this. The two camps are this. The first kind of tinfoil hat camp, that's their web, is that, all these different people are involved, which would include influencers who have connections to the government. The second camp is that Candace Owens is a psyop who has been put here specifically to create division from right-wing influencers coming up to the midterms so that they can detract power away from Trump. So you have but I don't think either of those is the truth. I think that the truth is that there was a lot of opportunity here for a lot of people post Kirk's death, and they're capitalizing on those opportunities. And I don't think Candace is any different. She's also capitalizing on the opportunity to do audience capture for kind of disaffected TPUSA people who are very upset about Charlie Kirk's death. They want answers. Answers aren't coming very quickly because it's an investigation and the police aren't releasing much to the public. And TPUSA and the players involved aren't releasing much to the public either, which is kind of their prerogative. They don't really have to. And there could be good reasons for them not to. But because of this, I think that she's just capitalizing on the lack of answers to the public, and she's kind of weaving the web in the interim time. The thing is, though, is that eventually what happens is you kind of weave that web too wide.
Mm.
And when you do that, now she's coming under scrutiny because many of these things that she's saying are being debunked, and they're turning out to be factually untrue. Many of them.
Right. I mean, which ones are being debunked and turning out to be factually untrue?
You mean on the Candace Owens stuff?
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the airplanes. So there's an entire refutation given on the timeline of these supposed airplanes, which were in airspace, and how that ties into the Kirk assassination, which nobody's been able to pull that thread. But she even got a lot of the times incorrect, and she got the types of planes and where they were at incorrect as well. There was an entire breakdown done of it.
Mm.
Okay. The accountant stuff, like a lot of the things that she's levied at TPUSA have turned out to be nonsense. Just kind of over and over again, a lot of this stuff turns out to be nonsense, or the implication of I'm just asking questions that don't lead anywhere. That's another problem that she has as well.
Yeah, look, I think that there is obviously a lot of these claims have an implicit destination, if you know what I mean. Like if you're saying I'm just asking questions about X and Y and who benefits from the death, there's an implicit sort of like theory that you're giving there.
Yeah, I think so. Just
yeah.
like the chatter brings this up. This is a good point. The Charlie Kirk's neck stopped to 30-06. You'll see a lot of videos online of people who will use the ballistic gel dummies when they'll shoot the ballistic gel dummy through the neck, and it'll go through the back cartilage. Some of them have even used soft point ammunition in order to do this, but you have some problems here. Some major issues with this theory. The first issue that comes up with the theory is that ballistic gel does not actually replicate human bone structure very well at all. The FBI has released documents on this for years that it doesn't do that well, and they actually have to usually substitute it with some sort of pig bone in order to get the authenticity of a human bone. That's the first issue that comes up with that. The second one is that this has happened before. There's documented cases, very public documented cases. In this case, Martin Luther King, who was assassinated with a 30-06, and it did not go through. He was assassinated.
I've seen some of the tests though, where they're doing like cow femurs, and where
No,
they're
you
doing
haven't
actual
seen any
steel.
legitimate tests at all. You've seen a bunch of people who get a rifle, they get a certain type of ammunition, and they fire the shot. Unless we know specifically what the round is, right? Have it with the rifle, and then match the physiology of Kirk and his bone structure, you can't really run that test competently. And the next problem is like with Martin Luther King's death, the same. I mean, it happened there too. The 30-06 did not go through, and so it's like, look, they don't always go through. They don't always penetrate. And I don't know where this idea comes from that they do. That's stupid. And these ballistic tests are non-scientific. They're not scientific in nature.
But if you're doing, I mean, I've seen like one video where this guy is like a Green Beret. He's a veteran, and he's obviously very experienced with these sorts of things. And he'll do a test where they shoot through cow femurs, and when they shoot through actual steel and concrete and these sorts of things, they test out different rounds. And essentially, what these guys are saying, and this is obviously not my field of expertise, but what these guys are saying is impossible that this happened.
Well, no, it's not impossible. You have to take the angle of impact. You have to take the exact type of projectile. In this case, I'm guessing some sort of hunting soft point. And then you need to use the rifle, which was used as well. And then you need to replicate it by having the spine and the backbones of the neck in the exact position where the bullet hit, right? That's a scientific test. And then you see how often it fails, or if this is a possibility. The coroner did a report on this, and the coroner said, hey, this did not pass through. This is the same thing that happened with Martin Luther King, right? Did not pass through. It's like we've had high profile, prolific assassinations before where the bullet didn't pass through. I don't know why this is difficult, right? this idea that it couldn't have been a 30-06, that's just ignorance. It's pure ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super open minded to the idea that it couldn't be it wouldn't be a 30-06. Just from because I've seen what you're saying here, but then I mean, I haven't really seen many people strongly making your point either. Like I've seen a lot of people who are really experienced in terms of warfare and these sorts of things, saying it's impossible. So I mean, I'm at least
Well,
really open
listen,
minded to the idea.
being a skilled soldier or even being special forces probably gives you a significant amount of training when it comes to killing other human beings. Doesn't make you a ballistic expert, and it doesn't mean that your test is scientifically rigorous. It
Mm.
doesn't mean that. And so, like, I'm willing to let the evidence come out, right? But you're not ever going to convince me that it's impossible that a 30-06 from a downward angle, which hits the back neck bone, always is going to penetrate, because that's just not true. Okay, it's just not true. It's subjectively not true. It's right now it's only theoretical. Like you got to show and demonstrate the evidence for this. You using ballistic gel, and even if you're using cow bone or things like this, that's not a scientific demonstration.
So, what do you think about this? About all of those guys who are sort of gun experts who are saying that this is first maybe not possible. Let's not say not possible, because there is some like crazier things have happened, right? But apparently they're saying that it went into the neck and then it traveled down the vertebrae and then stopped his heart.
Do you want to hear something really funny about quote gun experts?
Yeah.
Right? Which is, I guarantee you that half of the dudes in the chat think that they're gun experts too. Okay. Here's what gun experts usually do. We argue incessantly about trivial things nonstop, right? What would this round do at this range? Which is superior? Which rifle has better advantages or disadvantages? What type of semi-automatic pistol is actually the best for concealed carry? Why revolvers aren't really very good for X thing, and why semi-automatics are better? Why this? Why that? The community, the entirety of the gun community, because it's a small community,
Mhm.
all they do is fight with each other on shit like this all day long. They fight nonstop about the penetration of certain ammunition, which guns are better than which guns. All they do is fight. Just go to an online gun forum and watch
Yeah.
yourself. I've seen people lose their minds for hours fighting over the most trivial thing. Should I use a gel-packed hollow point or not when I'm hunting this particular animal? It's crazy. And so, like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to throw my lot in with people who are doing tests in their backyard as though that's gospel. I'm just not willing to do it.